Hello, orators. Welcome to week 9 of the Art of Oratory. This is the second half of the course. Hopefully you all had a fantastic break week. You had a chance to recuperate, maybe get ahead a little bit on some of your work. I'm going to give a pretty detailed look at what we'll be doing for weeks 9 and 10, an overview of 11 to 15, and yeah, it should get you sorted out for this week and moving forward. So, well, I already gave you that kind of an outline. I'll give you details for the next couple of weeks because this is really setting us up for your final major activities for this course. So for week 9, that's this week, you should make sure to review the Scully Handbook, especially sections 2 and 3. Section 2 is all about the design of individual presentations, group presentations, speech design. And really you're looking at your use of transitions, your use of a flow throughout, your use of a structure, trigger sheets, how you engage your audience, etc. The open educational resource, your eCampus resource, just 2 sections I asked you to look at there. Your responsibilities as a communicator, how you are engaging with the audience. And then a reminder that the message that your audience receives is not only your intended message. There are those secondary factors that you need to consider, your body language, and what else you're going to walk away with that maybe you didn't even plan at all. And those are your auxiliary messages. A reminder to review your materials in the Google Drive, especially weeks 9 to 14. You have a discussion post that is due this week, and it's going to have to be a video post, so I've given you some tips on how to do that. You have a significant test next week, sometimes referred to it as a midterm. It's just a test. If you've done the 2 quizzes, you'll be fine. And then the exploration of your final individual talks. So during the break, I asked you to consider some topics that you'd be comfortable speaking about. All sorts of things that you could consider discussing, things that have been successful in the past that I have seen other students use. It's got to be about 10 minutes long. You're going to have either an impact and change kind of a focus or something where you're going to motivate your peers. The motivating peers I find is generally a little trickier. It requires you to be coming from a much sort of developed, a stronger position of strength so that your peers buy into the fact that you can actually be motivational. The personal impact or change, that tends to be a stronger story because that comes from an I perspective. There is a video note presenting activity support materials online since we're still continuing to do a lot of Zoom kind of work. And then, of course, I'm going to ask you to look at your planning documents. There are several examples from previous years' students where I think that they've really captured how to use that planning document. And then, of course, you'll need to be working on your individual presentation planning document. So this is the individual presentation planning document. As you can see, it focuses on personal change, impact, or possibly motivational. Several ideas where I've seen things work really well with students. You need to do that. Like, this is footwork you have to put into it. I've also given you a resource about, or it's a link actually to a spectacular free resource. Nancy Duarte has been a TED Talk coach for many years. She has made this book, Resonate, available for free download. I'm going to ask you specifically to review just a few short pages, pages 26 to 31, where we're talking about, where she is talking about how you set up your speech as a 3-act story. Anyways, you're going to do all of that independently. You're going to have to submit your planning document. You have to schedule a meeting with me so that I can go through and make sure you've actually got some kind of an effective hook. You've got a plan for 3 solid content areas, and then your wrap-up activity. And you need to organize an introducer for yourself as well. So for week 10, now you're looking at, have you done your responses to the discussion post, assuming you did your discussion post? Have you submitted your individual planning document? Have you reviewed Scully? referring as much as possible to that rule of three because we know the comfort and the resonance of that. Have you studied for your test? The test review page that I have posted in the Prof. Judy Google Drive really is a one-pager of key terms. You should know these things. You will be able to look at your notes, but I'm telling you right now, if you're looking at your notes for the first time when the test starts, you will run out of time. You need to know the content. And then I will bring a sign-up page to class, and you'll be able to sign up for your preferred speaking date. And of course, that'll also be on a first come, first serve basis. All right, I'm going to show a few, I'll probably be about 2 minutes in total from this fellow, Alexander Lyon, and he does some really solid tips that I would encourage you to watch the entire video. I'm just going to show a few short clips from it.
Have you ever wondered how those great speakers that you love to listen to have a conversational approach to their delivery? We're going to teach you how to have what's called an extemporaneous delivery style.
All right, and now I'm going to move it along, and this next part is going to really lay out why extemporaneous speaking is the most effective, the most successful. Your goal out of this course, and it's really not going to involve reading, and it's not going to involve memorizing. It's extemporaneous, comfortable speaking, and you're going to hear it from somebody who is very highly regarded. Alrighty.
Today we're going to unpack how to speak extemporaneously, in other words, conversationally. Let's put it this way. Nobody wants to hear you give a memorized presentation. Nobody wants to listen to you read a presentation word for word. And here's how I know this. Do you want to listen to someone read a presentation word for word? Do you want to listen to someone like a robot give you a memorized word for word presentation? Nobody likes it. And unless you're president of the United States and you're using teleprompters, you probably won't ever be asked to do this in a professional setting. Almost everybody across the board that's at that high level of speaking uses what we call extemporaneous delivery style. And that means when you know the material so that you can speak conversationally with limited notes in a structured way. Now, it sounds pretty basic and you appreciate it when you see it, but it actually takes quite a bit of work to get there. But once you know how to do it this way, I doubt you'll ever want to go back to reading your notes word for word again. So first, let's talk about how to do this. The first tip is that you have to commit to a structure. The structure is the backbone of the whole presentation that helps you keep your place and helps you move forward according to your plan. You're going to need a really clear introduction, body, and conclusion. And within each of those sections, your introduction, for example, you're going to have certain parts that you hit, 4 parts of your introduction. You're going to know your clear 2 or 3 or 4 main points you're going to hit with nice transitions and information in each of those buckets. And you're going to have a really clear conclusion. You're going to know how you end. So you have to have a clear structure. If you don't have a clear structure, it's going to be very difficult to get comfortable enough to have a conversational style. The second tip is that you're going to have to practice probably more than you realize. I recommend practicing a presentation about 10 times. Now,
all right, I'm going to end it there. Like I said, I really strongly recommend that you take the time to watch that full presentation by Coach Alexander Lyon. It is somebody else who's going to give you reasons and rationale why extemporaneous speaking is the most powerful way of presenting. It is not just flying by the seat of your pants. You need to have a structure. And in another few seconds, he will go through and explain how you work your notes down to really have what we call in this class trigger sheets. So you're working just from key points, but how you have to practice and reduce with that. How I've said to you a few times, don't just practice with your trigger sheets the first day that you get up there. You need to know what those key points, those key words are that you have listed there for yourself. And he provides a pretty clear example of removing more and more words in an effective manner for you to be successful. So that takes us then to really what is the remainder of the course, your presentations. You have several pre-checks that you need to do. You have some submission work that you need to do. I really want you to focus on this being an extemporaneous speech. Get your water bottle and your trigger sheet. It's all you're bringing to the front. Don't be distracted by anything else. You're targeting about 10 minutes. That means if you're less than 8 minutes, you really don't have enough content. You have not thought thoroughly enough about the subject. If you're over 11 and a half, past 12 minutes, you haven't given your audience the respect that they deserve and actually edited your speech to a point where you have a more concise subject matter. You need to organize somebody to introduce you, because we're going to really, this is our final activity to emulate what would happen in a setting if you were giving the guest presentation, the keynote speech. This is what would happen. You have to give content to someone who's going to introduce you. You also have to do a series of peer assessments for this. I want it to happen over a few days. It can't all be on the same day. Yes, I do allow some bonus submissions as well. You should be pretty solidly familiar now with the general DAV assessment pieces, that design, animation, and voicing activity. The other things that remain for this course, there will be some small in-class activities that we do in between on the various weeks. You have a second TED Talk that you need to assess. You have a fourth discussion post that you need to complete. And then there is a final reflection activity, which is a big chunk of your mark as well. I will go through that in more detail as we go along in the weeks. So that's about it. There's your overview of weeks 9 to 15. A reminder, there isn't officially a class in week 15 because there's no exam for ENL 1829, and we usually are finished class by week 14. So I'm going to wish you a great week. I look forward to seeing you in our class when I see you this week. Take care. Have a good one.